got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bad luck bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Monday, May 18th. We're on a really crazy run on the show here. 2-0 yesterday, moving to 83, 37, and 5 since I started putting this tracker up here, 44 days. It's something like I don't even know what it is now, 20-3. More recent run as well over the last 10 or 11 days. I still have not figured that out, but whatever it is. It's close. We won both games yesterday, under first 5 in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I believe it was 2-0 Philadelphia at that point. Pittsburgh's bullpen, like I said, wasn't really that good, but the full game still went under as well. It landed 6. Philadelphia pitched a shutout in the game, but I think first 5 was still the right move there. Cleveland Indians, easy win there as well. They just extended their lead, didn't really look back. I think it was a 10-3 final there. We'll move on to today. I'm going to give out 2 plays today, both in baseball. I have a couple other leans in baseball. I'm not really going to quite get there with the rest of these games. WNBA, there are a couple of games that I don't love. I know I haven't been involved in the WNBA for a few days now, but I got to pick spots, man. The hockey game was in consideration for me, but I'm going to skip it. And NBA, I don't know. I'm skipping the NBA. I don't have a great angle on it. I'll talk about it, obviously. But Dirty Sock, what's up? Josh, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, baseball. This is a bigger Monday card than usual, so it kind of annoys me because I like Monday as like a break. I still don't really recommend splashing the board. I mean, I don't know. I'm all about being selective, but 12-4 is pretty insane. Atlanta at Miami. We have new series starting, so you have to take into account travel, etc. Miami is returning home from a road trip here, but they finished the road trip in Tampa Bay, so it's not exactly the worst road trip return spot, but still they've been away for a week. So I talk about that. Teams return home from road trips. They can get distracted. They have to get back to home life, but Miami's already in the state of Florida. This is a huge divisional series against Atlanta, so they likely won't overlook Atlanta here. And the matchup does not really look very advantageous to me to Atlanta, or for Atlanta here. Atlanta is coming off beating the Red Sox. What else is new? They're traveling in from Atlanta, which is not a horrible travel spot. And starting a road trip with momentum usually is a positive spot. Atlanta only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, including Ronaldo Lopez, who is not a starter anymore, until somebody gets hurt, obviously. Miami used 2 relief pitchers as well. Both bullpens set up pretty well here, and they're both good. Atlanta is ranked 1, Miami 3 in bullpen. This is based on whip. Atlanta is ranked number 2 in offense based on OPS. Miami is 18, so Atlanta does have a big edge there. Starting pitching, I think, is a pretty big edge to Miami, though. J.R. Ritchie is pitching for Atlanta. He is a rookie. He's been okay. He has a 3.32 ERA. 1.43 whip is not good, though. Definitely too high. He's been a little bit worse on the road as well. 3.75 road ERA. Miami is a more pitcher-friendly ballpark, though. Ritchie still has not allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start, which is good, but he's got a 17-15 strikeout walk ratio, man. And to Make matters even worse, this month in 2 starts, it's 6-9. That's not good. You can't walk one guy an inning, which is what he's done this month, in 9 1/3 innings pitched. You can't walk more guys than you strike out. That's just not going to lead to good things. Overall, he's allowed fewer hits than innings pitched, so that's good. He's been difficult to hit. Atlanta has won 3 of his 4 starts, but they hit well. Against Miami, obviously, they've never seen him before, so there is that advantage. Young pitchers, when they're going up against a lineup that's never seen them before, they do have a little bit of an edge. But Max Meyer has been much better this year. I think he's a pretty proven pitcher right now, and he's having a good season. 3.21 ERA, 1.15 whip. He is pitching for Miami here. 2.63 home ERA, so he's also better at home. He's been really good this month as well. 21-5 strikeout walk ratio, so he's in good recent form. Miami's won all 3 of his starts this month. Fewer than 1 hit per inning allowed. Way over 1 strikeout per inning as well. Over the course of the season, it's actually pretty much more of the same. So this month has really just been a continuation of that. He's pitching well, man. He is going up against a powerful Braves lineup, though, and they have hit him all right in the past. They have 52 at-bats against him. They have a 269 batting average against him, 802 OPS. So they have hit him decently, but he does have 17 strikeouts and 1 walk against them. So his command numbers are still very good against them. And we do have to keep in mind that a lot of these numbers were accumulated when Meyer was not as good as he is now, because I don't believe he did face Atlanta once this year, my mistake. He pitched at Atlanta. He actually did fairly well in that start, even though they lost the game. He went 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 earned runs allowed. That was not a bad outing from him. This game is not one that's really in consideration for me. We do have a return home spot for Miami here, but Atlanta's a very public side, dude. And they opened a favorite, and the money looks like it's come in and basically moved Miami to a favorite. And when you see that, I mean, the odds makers or the market, they're kind of telling you something here. Even though Atlanta's been, I think they might have the best record in baseball right now. Miami's below 500. Yet Miami's got a favorite price attached to them here. That is the odds makers telling you pretty much that Miami is kind of the right side here. 95% of tickets, 92% of the cash on Atlanta. So Atlanta's very public with less of the money on them. I'm going to lean to Miami here, but I still don't like the situational setup, though. The return home spot, I just can't do that. But I do think they have the better of the matchup, and I think the bullpen bullpens are pretty much, I think, evenly matched, in my opinion. So slight lean for me to Miami there, but that one is not on my card. Tyson, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is staying at home. They did just beat Miami yesterday. Baltimore is traveling in from Washington, I believe. Baltimore won and salvaged the last game of the series yesterday, which that was a game where I did mention that the odds makers, I think, put Baltimore up as a favorite in that game. So I think they were kind of indicating something on Baltimore there. I don't know. You can go back and watch my show yesterday to remember what I said. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I don't even remember, man. As far as the relief pitching, Baltimore used a bunch of guys. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, which is not great. Washington used 3. Washington's bullpen is pretty bad. They are ranked 23rd right now, according to this list. Baltimore 18th. Baltimore does have a slightly better bullpen, but not by much, and they did use a little bit more of it yesterday. Washington has been the better offense. They're ranked 6th offensively. Baltimore is 18th. Wait, what am I saying? Why am I saying Washington? Tampa Bay. Dude, I hate these days where the new series starts. I get all fucked up. My apologies. Tampa Bay is who Baltimore is playing here. Tampa Bay used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Tampa Bay's bullpen is actually a little bit better. They're 10th. So, yeah, Tampa Bay has a better bullpen than Baltimore. I apologize. Tampa Bay's bullpen is 13th. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I think they are better than Baltimore still, although they've been struggling a little bit again. Tampa Bay's bullpen's been a roller coaster. They were really bad at the beginning of the season, really good for a while, and then just recently they have been worse again. Tampa Bay's offense is ranked 10th, so my mistake. Baltimore 18th. So Tampa Bay actually has the better bullpen and the better offense here. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I also think Tampa has the better starting pitcher here as well. Baltimore has Trevor Rogers pitching. He's a little bit difficult to figure out, though, because last year he was really, really good for Baltimore, and I expected nothing because his numbers were pretty shaky for the most part when he was with Miami. He had a couple of decent seasons in there, but he was kind of all over the place. He was bad in a very short season with Baltimore at the end of 2024. I didn't expect anything from him last year, and he had the best season of his career, although he did not pitch the full season, but he still made 18 starts, and he was awesome for Baltimore last year. It seemed to come from out of nowhere, and this season he's been pretty bad. 5.77 ERA, 1.54 whip. He's been injured as well, so we have to figure that out. His home road splits are pretty insignificant. He got injured, I think, in the start against the Red Sox, where it's hard to tell because the Red Sox won that game 17-1. Nobody even remembers that. The Red Sox scored 17 runs. They've scored 17 runs throughout the entirety of the rest of the season, but they scored 17 in one game. Rogers didn't do well there. I think he must have been injured or something there. He was trending in the wrong direction. He got hurt, but he came back and he pitched against the Yankees. It might have been a relief appearance, I'm not sure, but he did not do well in that outing either. He gave up 6 runs in 4 innings, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He's just not in good form right now, man. I mean, I still think he is better than his numbers this year are right now, but I can't trust him right now. Going up against Tampa Bay, his numbers are not really good against them either. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him before, though. So it's a really small sample size of 21 at-bats, 2-2 strikeout walk ratio, 333 average, 820 OPS. You know, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't like how Rogers sets up here. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Shane McClanahan is pitching for Tampa Bay. He's been the better of the 2 pitchers. 2.27 ERA, 0.98 whip. He's pitching really well in his return from injury this season. He's been awesome at home. 0.87 ERA so far at home. He's given up no runs in his last 4 starts. I would say he's in good form right now. Also, a 23-4 strikeout walk ratio over that span. Really good stuff. Over the course of the season, pretty similar. He's allowed very few hits, like bordering on 1 every 2 innings. His walk rate only slightly high and a lot of strikeouts, more than 1 per inning. He's pitching well. Numbers against Baltimore, very good as well, but 25 career at-bats is not a lot. 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, 120 batting average, 454 OPS. I'm going to lean Tampa Bay here. I think they have the advantage in every aspect of the game. I think they have the better starting pitcher. They have the better bullpen, and they have the better hitting. But the money's not agreeing with it. This one is not on my card, but 92% of tickets, 84% of the cash on Tampa. So the money's disagreeing with Tampa. The total's 7.5, so the odds makers are kind of telling you they think both pitchers are actually going to pitch well here. That remains to be seen, and if I was going to go under in this game, the money's indicating actually on the over in this game. If I was going to go under, I would do it in the first 5 because, I mean, I just don't trust Rogers at all, though. But the bullpens are not really very trustworthy, so I would definitely not want to go under full game here, even though maybe it does happen. Tampa Bay is around a minus 155 favorite here, so my lean in this game would be to do a split bet, run line, money line on Tampa Bay. But I don't want to put that on my card. You're putting all of your 401k on the Spurs. I would not do that at all. Definitely no. I have a pretty strong disagreement with that. Cincinnati at Philadelphia. Philadelphia just swept Pittsburgh in the Keystone Battle, the Battle of Pennsylvania, and they dominated the series, actually. They won the last 2 games, both 6-0, so we could see a little bit of a letdown here for Philadelphia. It is also a return home spot, although they're staying in the state of Pennsylvania here, but it's not a good spot, really. It's a letdown spot off of a series sweep against their rival. Return home could be a distraction. Cincinnati has not been playing particularly well. So situation sets up much better for Cincinnati here. The problem is going to be the starting pitching matchup is not very advantageous to them. Cincinnati did just lose twice to Cleveland. We had that right yesterday on the show with one of my plays. Cincinnati is not a good team, dude. They've definitely fallen off, and Philadelphia is finally starting to play well. So Philadelphia is clearly the better overall team here. Even though their records, I think, might be the same right now. Cincinnati used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Philadelphia used 2. Philadelphia's bullpen is better. They are ranked 14th right now. Reds are 29th, really, really bad. Their ERA is up over 5 now as well. Offense starting to come around a little bit for the Phillies, although they're still hanging at 21st. But I think they're a pretty good offense. I actually think they're better than Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati's 15th. I'm not buying it. I think Philly does actually have the better offense here as well. Starting pitching is tough to figure out. Nick Lodolo is pitching for the Reds. He had a pretty good season last year for them. At some point, I think he is going to turn things around a little bit, but he's only made 2 starts, I think, so far this season, and he's gotten roughed up. He has an 8.68 ERA, 1.61 whip. He's definitely better than that. Like, I do think he is going to come around at some point, but I don't trust him right now. He did make both starts at home in that hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati. Philly has a fairly hitter-friendly ballpark as well, though. So I don't know that he's really going to do that much better in this start. He just hasn't been good so far. He's got 8 strikeouts, 4 walks, 11 hits allowed in 9 1/3 innings so far. Only made it past 5 innings once. Did face Houston and Washington, though. Those offenses have been better than Philadelphia's so far this year. But I still don't like him in this start. Philadelphia has good numbers against him, and 80 at bats, so they're very familiar with him. 287 batting average, 852 OPS, 29-8 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good for Lodolo, but the rest of those numbers, not good. I don't think he's trustworthy here, but do we trust Andrew Painter on the other side for the Phillies? I am not so sure. He's in his rookie season right now, man, and I do think he has talent. I think at some point he is going to be better than this. 6.21 ERA, though, is not going to inspire a lot of confidence. 1.59 whip, also really bad. He's been slightly worse at home as well. 6.5 home ERA. He pitched well in his last start, but it was against the Red Sox. I mean, we've seen this before. Like, how many pitchers this year have, like, one good start, and it happens to be against the Red Sox? Yeah, so I'm not totally buying that, although he was okay 2 starts before that against Miami. He got wrecked in the start between the two at home against the A's. I don't really trust him. He's got a 7.9 ERA over those 3 starts this month, even though 2 of them were good. 13-6 strikeout walk ratio, way over 1 hit per inning. He's allowed way too many hits over the course of the season, well over 1 hit per inning. He's allowed a decent amount of walks as well, which isn't good. His strikeout rate is fine, but a little bit below 1 per inning. Of course, he is going to be unfamiliar to Cincinnati because they haven't faced him yet. This is his rookie year, so he does have that advantage, but he's had that advantage basically all season, and it hasn't really helped that much. This game, I think if I was going to play this game, I think I would go over the total. You got 2 bullpens that are both pretty questionable. Both starters seem questionable to me in this one as well. The money seems to agree with the over. 83% of tickets, 86% of the cash on the over. The total's pretty high at 9.5, juice to the over. Maybe 10. I'd probably prefer the 9.5. I mean, 9.5 is better just because it is a half run better, but 9 is a key number, so 9.5. The difference between 9.5 and 10 is not a lot. But still, I mean, it's about the price and what number you get on it. The money's also indicating on Cincinnati, which seems, I mean, I agree with Cincinnati situationally, you know what I mean? And if Lodolo was able to pitch how he pitched last year, that would make it look a lot more appealing on Cincinnati here. 76% of tickets, only 62% of the cash on Philadelphia. They are short favored around minus 120 something. The public is not going to be on Cincinnati. They like recency, you know, and Philadelphia's been the way better team recently. They are the better team, but in this situation, it's not a good situation for Philly. I will say at least that much. So I don't really necessarily disagree with Cincinnati, but I think my preference in that game would definitely be to play over. Yeah, I played video games a lot. The whole industry has gone like completely woke though, so I haven't played any for a long time. I used to play the classic games. I played all the Blizzard games back in the day. Diablo 2, original StarCraft. Those were my thing. I played a lot of Overwatch for a while more recently than that. That's gone way off the woke deep end though, so I don't want to deal with any of that crap anymore. I played Madden and stuff like that, a lot of sports games. That was a console game for me. I played a lot of Counter-Strike, which I used PC for that, for the first-person shooters. I was really good at Counter-Strike Source back in the day. I was pretty good at StarCraft as well back in the day. Those are some of the games. I played a lot of Rock Band as well. I was a vocalist. I was in the leaderboards for a lot of the vocal stuff on Rock Band back in the day. Back on PS4 mostly. No, yeah, that's why I just don't even bother with it anymore. I don't really want to spend the time on it either, even though I'll occasionally go back to some games. Like I'll play the newer Diablos and stuff like that. But I played a lot of games, though, back in the day. Cleveland at Detroit on Fox Sports 1. We have an AL Central divisional matchup here. Detroit lost their last 2 games against Toronto. They haven't been hitting well. They've lost a lot of recent games. They've lost 5 of 6. Actually, it's been worse than that. They've lost 10 of their last 12. But they're staying at home right now. I think they're going to show up at least for a game against Cleveland here. It looks like a bounce-back spot to me for Detroit. Cleveland did just beat their rival, Cincinnati, although I think Cleveland will show up for a series against Detroit as well. But Detroit's still pretty good at home, man, even though they haven't been good recently. They're 13-8 at home still. Cleveland 11-12 on the road. So home road splits favor Detroit a little bit here. As far as the overall records, people are going to want Cleveland right now because they're leading the division, I'm pretty sure, and they have the better record. Detroit is suffering a little bit because they've lost some of their starters and whatever. They've had a lot of bad things happen to their starting pitching. Injuries to Skubal, of course. Valdez, who's pitching today, got suspended. Mize was hurt. He came back, and he didn't even pitch bad yesterday, but I think they still lost. But now we have to focus on this game. I do like the situation for Detroit better than I like it for Cleveland. Detroit is favored in this game by a decent amount. So the odds makers are telling you by favoring Detroit here that they're actually either the better team or they at least have the better matchup here over Cleveland, even though Cleveland has a better record. So listen to the odds makers when they tell you that. Cleveland used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Detroit also used 2. I don't really like Detroit's bullpen. Cleveland's is okay. They're at 10th right now. Detroit at 21st, not as good, but their ERA isn't really that bad. But still, Cleveland does have the better bullpen. Cleveland is 14th in offense right now, even though I don't think they're the better offense. Detroit is 17th, but I do think Detroit's offense is actually better. Starting pitching matchup looks like it's a big advantage to Detroit, though. Slade Ciccone is pitching for the Cleveland side. He has not been good. 5.6 ERA, 1.58 whip. That's not good. He's been 3 runs worse on the road with a 6.6 road ERA. Really bad. He pitched well in his last outing, but he only went 4 innings against Anaheim, so he was really inefficient, even though he shut out Anaheim for 4 innings, had 7 strikeouts, but threw too many pitches, I guess, for what they want him to do. They took him out right around the 90-pitch mark. He's been okay, though, in his last 2 starts, really, but I'm still not fully buying it. His strikeout rate is below 1 per inning. He's allowed way over 1 hit per inning, which is pretty bad, and his walk rate is kind of mediocre, kind of too high, I would say. So, I don't know. I don't really like Ciccone here. His numbers against Detroit are a little bit hard to read because some of them are good and some of them are bad. He's got 35 at-bats against them. 11-2 strikeout walk ratio is good. A 229 average allowed is good. But a 785 OPS because they do have 3 home runs off him. So his overall numbers are a little bit hard to gauge. I think the OPS does matter a little bit more. So I don't really like Ciccone here. Framber Valdez, like I said, is pitching for Detroit here. He started off pitching pretty well this season. He's fallen off a bit. He's got a 4.32 ERA, 1.36 whip. Not good. He's been, home and road splits just aren't really significant for him this year. He's really had two awful starts, though, at Minnesota and against the Red Sox, which is the start where he unraveled and then he got suspended. But the rest of his starts are all good. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his starts. He's a head case, dude, so he goes on tilt. Like, if he starts pitching bad in a particular game, it goes totally haywire. But if he continues to pitch well, he does well. And he did bounce back and pitch well. Coming back from suspension, he pitched well against the Mets, although they lost in extra innings. But he delivered a good start there. But it was against the Mets. They've been hitting horribly this year. Still, it's a good sign that he came back and pitched well. So he is regaining form at the very least. He's facing a Cleveland lineup. It's not really that intimidating. He's got 38 at-bats against them, 158 batting average allowed, 489 OPS, 6-2 strikeout walk ratio. I like Detroit here. I wish Cicconi's numbers were a little bit worse here because I'd probably add it to my card. I was considering putting Detroit on my card. The money is totally disagreeing with it, though. Detroit's around minus 140 something right now, so I probably would just money line it. Like, when it's below minus 150, I usually just suck it up and lay the juice on the money line. That sounded almost gay. Suck up the juice, man. But we have 60% of the tickets on Detroit, which makes no sense to me. Why would the public be on Detroit as a decent-sized favorite here against a Cleveland team that has the better record and has been playing better recently? I don't think that that's an accurate number. That's why I hate this. I love Wager Talk. Like, I love their content, but I don't like their odds screen that much. Pregame is never going to fix theirs, though. Been gone for like a month now. Inexcusable on their part. But we have 71% of the cash on Cleveland here. Yeah, I mean, I don't love what I'm seeing there, but I would play Detroit if I was going to play that game. I think the situation lines up for them. Actually, I'd probably do it first 5 now that I think about it because I don't like their bullpen. I like the starting pitching matchup for Detroit. I like the situation for Detroit. I wouldn't disagree with them full games still, though. But first 5, maybe a little bit better. Maybe just, sorry, I'm looking at WNBA here. First 5, you could lay like a half run with Detroit. They need to be winning at the end of 5 if you do it that way, but I think there's a decent chance they will be. Yeah, Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch. They just changed it into Overwatch 2, and I think it's just called Overwatch again. I don't know what they did. They changed some of the characters' names. Like, I'm like, what did they do to McCree? What's going on here? I don't know. I haven't played it since they did that, though. I used to be really, really excellent at Lucio, though. That was my thing. I was a very attack-heavy Lucio. I was insane as Lucio, man. I don't know how I did it, but, I was doing everything. I was pushing people off the map. I was really good at using his primary attack and killing people that way, and while healing, obviously, at the same time. I don't know why, but I became really, really good with Lucio in that game. That was my thing. He was my main. All right. And there were a couple other characters. I was pretty good at Torbjorn was like the guy that I used the second most. All right. What's the next game up here? New York, Mets, and Washington. Washington, they're staying at home. They lost to Baltimore yesterday, but they won the series. Mets are coming in from beating the Yankees, which I did tell you. I mean, the Yankees didn't have a great pitching matchup in that game yesterday, so I did lean towards the Mets slightly in that game. They got the job done somehow. But now the Mets are coming off a big series win, man. And the Mets are actually playing a little bit better right now. They've won 5 of their last 6. They beat the Yankees, man. They beat their crosstown rival. This could be a letdown spot for the Mets here, even though this is a divisional series here. I think the spot is negative for the Mets here. Mets used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, although one of them was Imanaga, who was a long relief man. Now we get to Washington's bullpen. They suck. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Washington is a bad bullpen, 23rd. The Mets are pretty good, 9th in bullpen. Offensively, Washington has a big edge. They're 6th. Mets are still dead last, 30th, despite their recent run here. Christian Scott is pitching for the Mets. I mean, he is definitely a wild card here. He's young. He's got a 3.45 ERA right now. That's pretty good. 1.4 whip is not good, though. He's been better on the road, though, 2.79 road ERA. So that lines up decently for this game here. He's only gone 5 innings once, though, so that worries me, although the Mets bullpen is decent. His strikeout walk ratio is really good this month, though, 19-4. So after he walked 5 guys in his first start of the season, then maybe he walked 5 guys after that to drown his sorrows in burgers and fries, which are way overpriced, by the way. He's been good since that first start, at least his command numbers. He's got way over 1 strikeout per inning, below 1 hit allowed per inning, and a low walk rate in his last 3 outings. So that's good, but he hasn't gone that deep into these outings, so that's not good. But he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his outings. So overall, he is actually pitching okay. Will he pitch well against Washington? I don't know. He does have some history against them because he's pitched in past seasons as well. I think he's got 12 at-bats against them, 1 strikeout, 2 walks, 167 batting average, and 702 OPS. Decent numbers, just a home run from Garcia Jr. is throwing off the OPS a little bit. But I think it sets up for Scott to actually potentially pitch okay here. He's going up against Jake Irvin, who I would not want to back, even though I don't like the situation for the Mets. But I can't really play Washington with Jake Irvin at home. He's got a 5.91 ERA, 1.45 whip. He's been awful at home, 7.58 home ERA, 3 runs higher than it is on the road. He's pretty unbackable at home, dude. He pitched bad on the road last time out at Cincinnati. He's been bad this month, well over 1 hit allowed per inning, 11 strikeouts, 9 walks, 8.31 ERA across 3 starts. That's not good. He's got way too many walks over the course of the season. His strikeout rate is good, more than 1 per inning. His hit rate is fine. It's right around 1 per inning, but he has a ton of walks. That is his main problem, is that he's issuing free passes all over the place. He does get a draw here against a bad Mets lineup, though, and he does do fairly well against them. 60 career at-bats, 183 average allowed, 669 OPS, 13-7 strikeout walk ratio. It kind of sounds crazy for like a home game with Washington involved because they allow so many runs at home and they hit well, but I don't know, man. I mean, this almost seems like there is an argument for an under in the first 5 here between these 2 starting pitchers. I don't think I want to do it, though, because Irvin, I mean, he still has bad numbers at home. The total is 10 here, and it is that high for a reason. The money's also coming in on the over. 72% of tickets on the under, 71% of the cash on the over. I mean, you have one really bad bullpen with Washington. I don't totally see a path to that over, though. Even though the odds makers are telling you it's supposed to be a high-scoring game, I could see both pitchers actually having an okay outing here. So I can't do it, even though Washington does have a lot of high-scoring games at home, man, which is basically the reason why this total is where it is. The Mets are also favored at minus 135, minus 140. Do you think the Mets deserve to be minus 140 against any team on the road right now? I would say no, although the odds makers are kind of telling you they're basically telling you the Mets are the better team here with that line. But with an unproven starting pitcher here and the way the Mets have played this year, laying that price on the road, it just seems like it's too heavy of a price to me. 78% of tickets, only 59% of the cash on the Mets. So the money is indicating towards Washington. The Mets could be in a letdown spot. If you're going to play Washington, I would say do it in the first 5 because their bullpen is very, very bad. So I would not want to deal with that. But yeah, I don't think I even want to do it at all. I mean, I know I don't. You can see why. I don't want anything to do with that game. Reinhardt, I couldn't get the gist of Reinhardt. I don't know. His entire thing is just like sitting there in protection and then aiming his charge or whatever. I can't do that shit. Reinhardt was probably my least favorite to play as. I could not do that at all. Is the hamster even still in it? That was Wrecking Ball, I think was his name, right? I came in like a wrecking ball. I don't know. I was trying to think of some hamster-related lyrics there. A hamster in a stupid ball. I have no idea. All right, Toronto at the Yankees. Yankees are staying in New York, even though they are returning home. But I told you that The return home distraction for the Yankees, I kind of think came in when they came back to New York to play the Mets, because they're going home to be with their families if they're in New York City, you know what I mean? So they're staying in New York City here, so I don't see this as a real return home spot here. Toronto is traveling in from Detroit. The Yankees have been pretty good at home. Toronto hasn't been very good on the road. To me, this looks like a spot where the Yankees should probably get back on track and win, but they used 6 guys out of the bullpen yesterday just to lose, which, was that an extra inning game? What was that? Yes, it was. They used a lot of relief pitchers, man. Both Subway series went into extra innings yesterday in the finale. Seems rigged. So the Yankees bullpen is not in a good rest situation here. Toronto used 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Yankees have the better bullpen generally. They're ranked 11th, Toronto 15th, but with Toronto being way more rested in the bullpen, that kind of negates the Yankees' bullpen edge a bit, in my opinion. Yankees have the better offense. It's not even really close. They're number 3. Toronto is number 25. Patrick Corbin is pitching for Toronto, and just on the surface, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, this pitching matchup is in favor of the Yankees here. You know I'm not a fan of Patrick Corbin. He's got a 3.93 ERA this year for Toronto, which is fine, but 1.4 whip is not good. He's been good on the road, though. His road ERA is way better, 2.53 road ERA. Do with that info what you want. He's not really pitching that well, though. He's gone no more than 5 2/3 innings in any of his outings. This month, he has a 6-4 strikeout walk ratio. He's been at least keeping his team in the games that he's pitched, not allowing more than 3 earned runs, but he's not going deep into these games. He's got a low strikeout rate. Doesn't fool hitters, really. Well below 1 per inning. His walk rate isn't that bad. I mean, it looks bad next to the number of strikeouts that he has, but he doesn't really walk that many guys, but he does allow a lot of hits, more than 1 per inning. Yeah, I don't think he's very trustworthy. He's going up against a very potent offense here in the Yankees, and they've hit him pretty well. 144 at bats, so they're really familiar with him. He's been around for a long time. 29-16 strikeout walk ratio. That is a lot of walks. 271 batting, or at least it's a bad ratio. 271 batting average allowed. 802 OPS allowed. So to me, it looks like the Yankees' bats probably will do something in this game. Although Corbin is better on the road this year, so there is that. Ryan Weathers is pitching for the Yankees. He's had a pretty good season. 3 ERA, 1.11 whip. Home road splits are not very significant, so he's good either way. He's allowed no more than 3 earned runs in any outing except 1 all season, which was a home start against Anaheim. But he struck out 10 in that game, and he got kind of unlucky, allowing 4 home runs. So even that start wasn't that bad. He's pitched well. He's got a high strikeout rate, way above 1 per inning. Walk rate, not too bad. Hasn't allowed a lot of hits either. Pretty significantly below 1 per inning. He's been good, man. He's had a good season. Hasn't exactly faced like a gauntlet of good offenses, though, but he's facing Toronto here, who have not been a good offense either. Toronto has not hit him well in the past. They have 16 at-bats against him, no extra base hits, 125 average, 301 OPS, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio. I like the Yankees in this one, man. I mean, their bullpen is questionable right now with all that bullpen usage, so a Yankee first 5 play might make sense here. The money is indicating on the Yankees, 80% of the tickets, 92% of the cash on them. I think they bounce back after those losses. I don't think this is a real return home spot for them. Like I said, they've already been in New York for multiple days now. They have a minus 190 price here. The price that they are in the first 5 is around the same. I would probably lay the half run with the Yankees in the first 5. I think it's probably the way I would play this. You could also go Yankee over their team total, but I don't think I necessarily want to do that because I think you want to include Weathers having pretty good numbers against Toronto. I think you want to include that in whatever you bet here, you know. So the pitching matchup, I think the starting pitching matchup is a big advantage to the Yankees. So that is the way I would try to find a way to do that. You know what I mean? But I think you're laying a half run at about minus 135 or so probably, which sometimes I will do it. It's rare. I considered it. I did consider this. So the 2 games that I considered putting on my card that are not on my card right now were a split run line money line bet on the Detroit Tigers and first 5 minus a half run Yankees. Those were my considerations that I did not add to my card. Next game up will be one of my plays, Red Sox and Royals. Me versus Zach here. But I'm just trying to get this game right, man. We're going to play the Boston Red Sox on the money line, minus 112. Nobody's really going to want to do it, I don't think, because the Red Sox have been awful. They've been hitting really poorly. They're not good, but they actually, believe it or not, they've been hitting better on the road this year. They're only a couple games below 500 on the road. They've actually been better on the road than at home, which it all makes no sense because Fenway is a hitter-friendly ballpark, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Royals have been better at home, though, than on the road, but even so, we start looking at the spot, and it's not a good spot for Kansas City. They're returning home from the road, although I know they were still just in the area. They were in Chicago. They were in St. Louis. They did just end a losing streak, so a lot of times that will give a team new momentum when they end a losing streak. So that does worry me a little bit, but it is still a return home spot. They were in St. Louis, so they're traveling back across the state to Kansas City here. So it is a return home spot. Potentially they could be distracted here. So I do think it is still a fade spot for them. Red Sox have not gotten off the road trip really on the greatest of foots here. Greatest of feet, mostly because they lost yesterday 8-1 to the Braves. I think it could be a bounce-back spot for the Red Sox here after getting obliterated there. But that was also because I told you, dude, Brian Bayo, they didn't put an opener in front of him yesterday, and guess what? He blew. He was awful. When they have him start the game, he is awful. So I told you I did lean to Atlanta in that game yesterday. I didn't put it on my card or anything, but Bayo absolutely sucks. They should have put an opener in front of him. Maybe that would have helped him out because it has the last couple of times. But, yeah, this is just awful. The Red Sox need to just clean house, dude. I know they already got rid of Cora and whatever, but they got to get rid of general management, ownership, sell the fucking team. I'm done with this shit. However, I think the Red Sox are going to win this game going into Kansas City here. I think the Red Sox have a big bullpen advantage. They only used Watson out of the bullpen yesterday, so their bullpen is pretty clear right now. They have a rested bullpen, and they have the better bullpen. Kansas City used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday, which isn't bad, but the Red Sox are ranked 5th in bullpen. Even with all their problems, their bullpen has not been one of those problems. Kansas City has been pretty bad, 26th in bullpen. Red Sox are an awful offense, though. They're all the way down at 29th now. Still think that they have better hitters than that, and they should probably be somewhere around 20th. I don't know what is going on with that offense, man. Kansas City is 15th, but I still don't really consider them to be like a juggernaut offense. Sonny Gray is pitching for the Red Sox. He's been pretty good for them. 3.18 ERA, 1.15 whip on the season. I know he hasn't been as good on the road. 5.54 ERA. That is bad, I know. His home road splits are not good. But he pitched pretty well in his last road game. He shut out Detroit for 5 innings. That was when he came back from his injury or whatever. He's only given up 1 run in 11 innings since then. He's only allowed 6 hits, which were a road start against Detroit, a home start against Philly, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks. And what's kind of significant about that to me is he pitched well in a stadium that he's pretty familiar with because he used to be on Minnesota for a while. So he was familiar with pitching against Detroit, although you could make the argument that means he should have done well when he pitched in Minnesota, and he didn't pitch well in that outing. That's true. But he did pitch well coming back from his injury or whatever against Detroit. He's done decently. Overall this season, he's been decent. He's allowed below 1 hit per inning. His strikeout rate is not high, but he's also got a really low walk rate, too. He just needs to make sure he's not too hittable, and sometimes he is, and that's his problem. He's getting up there in age, man, so his strikeout stuff isn't really there anymore, but he's still able to pitch pretty effectively. He is going up against a team that's seen a lot of him, Kansas City, because he pitched in their division, but he's been good against Kansas City. 111 at bats. We have a big sample. 216 batting average allowed. 644 OPS. Pretty decent numbers here. 21-9 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but overall he's got pretty good numbers here, and he is going to be opposed by Seth Lugo, who to me seems to be kind of falling apart a little bit, and maybe the advanced analytics guys have been right all along, man. Because I'm more of a guy that just looks at like whip and strikeout walk ratio and stuff. I'm old school. So I've been saying, like, I think Lugo's pretty good still. You know, the advanced analytics guys have been saying no. Look at his underlying metrics. He's not that good. And maybe we're all correct because maybe it's just starting to catch up with him just now. He's been decent this year ERA-wise, 3.76 ERA, but his whip is pretty bad, 1.42. He's been a little bit worse at home, so the home road splits are not really in favor of either pitcher here. I know Grays are worse, but Grays are kind of being skewed by like one bad start, or maybe two. Lugo, 4.4 home ERA, not great. He's not in good form right now. So Sonny Gray is in the better form right now. Lugo has a 6.6 ERA this month. And if you extend that to his last outing in the prior month, where he gave up 7 runs on 14 hits against Anaheim, he's been pitching real bad. He's given up 18 runs over that span of, 24 innings or something like that, 24 and a third. So his ERA gets up even higher with that. He's allowed 4 or more earned runs in 3 of his last 4 outings. His only good outing was in pitcher-friendly Seattle. He's got a 15-8 strikeout walk ratio this month. That is ugly as well. Overall, yeah, his numbers are decent overall this season. A little bit below 1 strikeout per inning. The walk rate is still pretty high, though, and more than 1 hit per inning. So he is putting too many guys on base now, as the whip suggests. Against the Red Sox, they have okay numbers against him in 51 at-bats. 255 average isn't really that high. They do have a 792 OPS against him, so they've been able to hit him a bit. 10-5 strikeout walk ratio, also not really that good. So I think the Red Sox actually set up to have the advantage here in the pitching department throughout this game. The total is high. It is at 9. Kansas City moved the walls in, so they got these higher totals at home now. I still don't know if they're really that hitter-friendly of a ballpark, but the money seems to agree with me on the Red Sox here. 64% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them for now. They're a slight favorite, right around the price that I'm giving it out at here. Money is also coming in on the under for what that's worth. I don't really necessarily have a huge disagreement with that, but I think the way to play this game is the Red Sox. I know my totals have been really good in baseball recently, but both of my plays are sides today. That's just the way that it worked out, man. All right, let's keep this going. We have Houston and Minnesota. Minnesota is staying at home. They did just beat Milwaukee to finish that series. They had lost the other games in the series, so they avoided the sweep. Houston lost yesterday when they were trying to sweep Texas, which would have shocked me if they completed a sweep against Texas, but they did not. So Houston is now traveling. It is a positive spot, I think, for Houston because they are traveling to start a road trip. Usually that's a positive spot. Minnesota, though, staying at home, not exactly a bad spot for them either. Minnesota used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday. This is a series where I think we're gonna want to look for some overs in this series. I mean, these bullpens are both possibly the 2 worst in baseball. Minnesota has a bad bullpen. They used a lot of guys out of it yesterday. They used, 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston only used 1, though, Bolton, but still, their bullpen has been awful. Houston is the worst in baseball, 30th. Minnesota is currently ranked 28th. But they also have the 3rd worst ERA, but the ERAs are kind of shuffled around there. Still, we're looking at 2 really bad bullpens. We're looking at offenses that have been pretty capable this year. Houston at 5th offensively, Minnesota 13th. So this reads as like an over series overall. And this is not exactly a good starting pitching matchup. Tatsuya Imai is pitching for Houston. He's been really bad so far. This is his first season in the majors. Came over from Japan. So a lot of times these guys have to adjust, to the new culture, the new league. The ball is a little bit different. The rules are a little bit different. Although you have to kind of weigh that against the fact that these hitters haven't faced him before. So sometimes that's an advantage to the pitcher. But he's been awful. 9.24 ERA, 2.05 whip is unbelievably bad. I don't see how we could back this guy, even though I know I tried, I think, in his first outing. He's been better on the road, at least. 4.5 road ERA is at least something that you can digest. But he's been bad, dude. He's gone more than 5 innings once, which was actually a shutout at the A's stadium. That makes no sense that would be his best start. I don't get it, man. This guy, he's really a difficult pitcher to predict. And he didn't do well last time out against Seattle, but that was their second time facing him. But then again, he also did really bad the first time he faced them in Seattle. So really, I can't trust this guy right now. He has more walks than innings pitched. How can you rely on a guy like that? He does have a high strikeout rate, too, though. He still has more strikeouts than walks. 16 to 14 and 12 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 12 hits, which is kind of normal. He is going up against a lineup that's never seen him before, so at least there is that. Maybe that will help him a little bit. Other than that, though, I would probably be looking to fade him here. Minnesota's never faced him before, though. Minnesota has Kendry Rojas pitching. His stats this year are bizarre, to say the least. He's only 23. I think this is his first season in the majors. He's got a 2.45 ERA. Hey, that's pretty good, right? Yeah, but his whip is 2.18. Like, these numbers are basically impossible outside of, like, a really small sample size. Like, how could you have an ERA that good and a whip that horrible? Something's got to give here, man. He hasn't been really good at home, 4.5 home ERA, but he's only pitched 7 1/3 innings so far, and he has 8 strikeouts, 8 walks, and 8 hits allowed, and 2 earned runs allowed. I don't know, man. I don't even know how to interpret these numbers. I mean, I think the way that you can kind of interpret it is that he is way too wild. Like, obviously, the big problem here is the walks, and I think with that amount of walks, he's gotten really lucky to avoid allowing more runs. So that's the way that I look at him. I don't think he's pitching well here right now. I looked at his minor league numbers this year. His ERA was pretty good in AAA. It was like in the 3s, I think. But his whip was like 1.4. So that worries me a bit. So I didn't like that. He's projected to be like a mid-rotation major league starter. He has like a mid-90s fastball. I guess he has a decent slider, and he has a changeup and a splitter, I think, that are kind of works in progress. So I don't know. To me, his arsenal doesn't seem that deep or unique, so I don't know. I'm not sure that he's really that good. Let's put it that way. He will be going up against a lineup that hasn't faced him, so he is going up against Houston here. They've never seen him before, so the advantage that both pitchers have is unfamiliarity here. But other than that, this game reads as an over game to me. That is the way that I would look at this game. I don't think I want to put it on my card, though. Rojas, by the way, this will be his first actual Major League start. All of his appearances so far have been out of the bullpen. So something to keep in mind. I don't know how that's going to affect him. Like, will he have nerves? I don't know. The money's coming in on Houston. 62% of tickets on Minnesota, 80% of the cash on Houston. The one advantage you might be able to say that Imai has here is that he has made starts already in his Major League career. Rojas has not. So maybe that is an edge to Imai here. Minnesota's right around the -110. Pick'em price here. The total's pretty high, which is expected at 9.5. I don't think you'll find a 9 anywhere. Actually, I do see it open at 9, but it's gone up slightly, I guess. But it is 9.5 juice to the under, so maybe there is still a 9 out there. I mean, if you can find a 9 that is a little bit more tempting, like a 9 over juice to the -120 or something, but I would go over in that game. Don't really want to put it on my card, though, because, you know, it is really kind of an unpredictable matchup. But these bullpens, like, I'm salivating to go with an over at some point in this series. Hopefully we'll be able to do it, but I don't really want to do it here. And now that I said that, you know it's going to go way over, and I'll just be pissed. You know, we might be able to go with an over in one of these games. I don't know, because Minnesota's pitching the next 2 days are Matthews and Joe Ryan. Those games might not be that over. This game actually does look like the most over-conducive out of all of them. So maybe we won't wind up being able to go over in the series. But, you know, I'm trying to be really selective here. All right, we have Milwaukee at the Cubs. The Cubs, just like the Yankees, the Cubs are technically returning home from a road trip, but not really because they were already in Chicago playing the White Sox. So they're already back in their home city. So I don't think it's a distraction, you know, the return home, whatever. They've already done that, would be my assumption. And this is a pretty big series, man. The Cubs and Milwaukee are definitely the two best teams in the NL Central, as I've been saying, and now they are the top 2 teams in the standings as well. This is going to be a big series, so I don't think the Cubs are going to overlook it, especially after losing pretty badly to the White Sox the last 2 days, although the White Sox might even not be that bad anymore. Milwaukee did just lose a 3-game win streak. They did just lose to Minnesota yesterday, but they won the series. That was kind of a bad spot. Like I think I probably pointed out yesterday, Milwaukee had already won the series. They were probably looking ahead to the series against the Cubs. I think it's a decent spot for Milwaukee, dude. They're not traveling that far from Minnesota to Chicago here. Huge series for both teams, though. As far as the bullpen usage, Chicago did go into an extra inning game yesterday. Milwaukee used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The Cubs used 5, but Rollison only for 2 pitches. But Chicago, the Cubs did go into extra innings, though. Cubs have been a good bullpen. They're 8th. The Brewers have climbed all the way to 12th, though. So we are looking at 2 pretty good bullpens here. And the Brewers are a little bit more rested here. So the bullpens are pretty even, I think, in this game. Cubs have had the better offense. They're 4th. The Brewers are 23rd. Although I still think they're going to start hitting a little bit better. On the surface, this starting pitching matchup looks like a major mismatch in favor of the Cubs here. But when you start digging into it, it's actually not. Brandon Sproat is pitching for Milwaukee here. He really hasn't been good, though, in his first season with the Brewers. 5.75 ERA, 1.53 whip. That's not good. He's been better on the road, though. 4.85 road ERA. He's been decent, at least this month. He's only allowed 3 earned runs across 9 1/3 innings and 2 starts, but he's not going deep into really any of his outings. He does have an 11-5 strikeout walk ratio this month, so that is concerning. That's a good strikeout rate, but it's too many walks. 2.89 ERA is fine, but the walks are an issue, and they have been all season, man. He's got 1 strikeout per inning, fewer than 1 hit per inning. That's all fine, but the walk number is way too high. He's got to get that walk number down. That is the big concern with him right now. That and I don't know if it's the stamina. I don't think I really want to say stamina, but they're just not really letting him go that deep into these games, or he's just not pitching well enough for them to leave him in to do so. He is going up against a good Cubs lineup here, but they've never seen him before. Maybe that'll be an advantage. I don't think I fully trust Sproat, though, because he's been pitching pretty poorly. But the Cubs have never seen him before, so at least he does have that going for him. He'll be going up against Shota Imanaga, who is clearly overall, he's the way better pitcher. He's been really good this season again. 2.32 ERA, 0.9 whip, really good. He's been really good at home, 1.74 home ERA. He's been really good this month as well with a 1.35 ERA, 21-4 strikeout walk ratio in 20 innings, 15 hits allowed. Dominant stuff. And over the course of the season, it's basically the same. He's allowed way below 1 hit per inning. Walk rate isn't too bad, and the strikeout rate is above 1 per inning. He's been really good. Problem is, he actually has not been good against Milwaukee in his career. Surprisingly, his numbers are really bad against them for the most part. They have 76 at-bats against him. 17-3 strikeout walk ratio does look good for him, but 329 batting average allowed, 1,012 OPS. That is not something I can get on board with, man. So even though I would think the Cubs would kind of be in a bounce-back spot here, show up for a series against Milwaukee, when I first looked at this, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a big pitching mismatch for the Cubs. But looking at the matchup numbers, it's really not. So I'm staying away from the game. Like, I still have a tendency myself to want to lean towards the better pitchers still. But you're laying about minus 160 with the Cubs. I don't think I could do it, man. They got 85% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them, so the money is indicating towards Milwaukee here. Money's also indicating on the under. The total is at 10.5, so you know that means the wind is blowing out at Wrigley. You know, yeah, I don't know what I would want to do with this game, man. It just seems like, yeah, I mean, the market read plus the matchup, just because Sproat is unfamiliar, you could argue he has an advantage in the starting pitching matchup here. I don't want to do it, though. I don't want to fade Imanaga, man. I mean, there might be spots to do it. I don't really want to do it here with a big-time question mark with Sproat here. I mean, one way that you could, I guess, do this is you could go Milwaukee over their team total, which seems crazy going up against an ace pitcher like Imanaga, but they have good matchup numbers against him, and the total's high. So if you kind of think the Milwaukee side could hang in this game, maybe that does make sense to go with Milwaukee to just score runs off of a guy that they have historically hit him well. And then you take Sproat, who's the big question mark, out of the equation. Maybe I would do something like that. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll come back. I have one more play here in baseball. We only have one fewer baseball game than normal. I think the only teams that are off today are Pirates and Cardinals. They start a series tomorrow, but I'll be right back and then talk about the rest of the games that are on the slate as well with the other sports. Give me 1 second. All right. One other good thing about the Red Sox, by the way, is they're stepping down in class from playing Atlanta to now playing Kansas City. That should be like, I don't know if we call it class relief, I guess, when you go from playing a really good team to them playing a team that's not as good. As long as you got blown out by that bad team. Like if you put up a really good performance against that, or by that good team, I mean, if you put up a really good performance against that good team, then it becomes like a hangover spot, you know. All right, Texas at Colorado. This is a very weird series because you got Texas, a team that plays in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark, debatably the most pitcher-friendly now, going to debatably the least pitcher-friendly, going to Coors Field. I don't know how that's going to play for Texas here. Colorado is staying at home, so that's not that bad for them. They just lost the series to the Diamondbacks at home. Texas just salvaged the last game against Houston in Houston, and now they're going to Colorado. So continuing a road trip with some new momentum. Not exactly a bad spot for Texas here. Texas does have the better bullpen. They only used one guy out of the bullpen yesterday, so they do have a bullpen advantage. Colorado used 3 relief pitchers, and they're not a very good bullpen. Texas is ranked 7th, but I think they have the best bullpen ERA, though. They're good. Colorado, not so much. Colorado is 16th, which is not that bad, but not good. Texas is not good offensively, though. Colorado, 11th in offense, and they do hit pretty well at home. Texas, 26th in offense. So, yeah, Colorado is the better hitting team. On the surface, I mean, you got a flamethrower here with Mackenzie Gore up against an old junk pitcher in Jose Quintana. To me, I prefer the flamethrower, the youth that Gore brings. But you start looking at this matchup, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Gore, he's having a decent season with Texas. I mean, overall, he does seem to be in a better place here with Texas than he was with Washington. Because he's always been a guy with talent, man. It's just that he's wild as hell and has some issues. But 4.5 ERA, 1.25 whip, that's not too bad. He's been really bad on the road, though, so we start getting into some problems here. 6.38 road ERA is not good. He pitched really well in his last outing, which was, of course, at home against Arizona. He dominated them for 8 innings, 1 earned run allowed, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. But overall this month, even if you include that start, he has an 11-7 strikeout walk ratio this month and 13 hits allowed in 17 innings and a 4.76 ERA. So that this month has been like a microcosm of what he is. Like, he doesn't allow many hits, but he walks way too many. and he strikes out guys. That's what he's done all season, all career really for him. He's allowed well below 1 hit per inning here this season, but his walk rate is really high. His strikeout rate is high as well. So that's what you're going to get out of Gore. Now, he is an extreme fly ball pitcher, which is not good in Coors Field. You do not want to allow that many fly balls, so that's not good. He did pitch in Coors Field last year, though, and he was really, really good in that start. It was in April, though, so it was cool weather. Somehow they won the game 12-11, but he only allowed 2 earned runs. So I think that was with Washington. Washington's bullpen really got obliterated. He was good in that start. He had 13 strikeouts in that start, even though he did allow too many fly balls. 6 innings pitched, 2 runs allowed. So he was good in that start in Coors Field last year. So that's a decent sign. But his numbers against Colorado are not good, although it's a small sample, 20 at-bats with their current lineup here. He's got 6 strikeouts, no walks against them, which is very surprising. 450 batting average allowed, though, 1,150 OPS. It's surprising, man, because usually the walks are his huge problem, but Colorado has actually hit him pretty well. So that would be my concern here, is that Colorado has hit him well, and he is a fly ball pitcher. He's been bad on the road, so it's not all good for Gore here. Jose Quintana is pitching for the Rockies. He's been able to keep them in games, but his numbers are pretty concerning. He's got a 3.97 ERA, which is good, but 1.41 whip tells you that ERA should be higher than that. He's been a little bit better at home, surprisingly, 3.78 home ERA. He is an extreme fly ball pitcher pretty much as well, so you'd expect that he would be doing worse than this, having to pitch many, many games in Coors Field, but hasn't really been the case so far. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but one of his outings, but he's not going deep into most of his outings. They're ramping him up a little bit, but they are kind of keeping him on a pitch count, it looks like. But his main concern here, 16-16 strikeout walk ratio. I mean, come on, man. I know he doesn't strike many guys out, but that is a horrible ratio. Too many walks as well, but he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning somehow. This month, he's basically been exactly like that, 7-5 strikeout walk ratio. Somehow a 2.87 ERA across 3 starts this month, which I don't really buy that because the other numbers are just not good enough to support that the ERA should be that good. And he's allowed almost 1 hit per inning this month, which is whatever. That's fine. He will be facing Texas, who are not the greatest offense, though, and he's actually done well against them in his history. 64 at-bats, 203 average, 641 OPS, 20-7 strikeout walk ratio, which is not excellent. But as crazy as it sounds, I might lean Colorado first 5 here, man. Gore, I mean, his road numbers worry me. His matchup numbers worry me. Quintana actually has the better matchup numbers. Seems insane because normally I would prefer Gore over Quintana, but we have 55% of tickets, 83% of the cash on Colorado. If I was going to go Colorado, it would be first 5. You'll get them as an underdog. You don't want to include their bullpen, though. Texas definitely has a bullpen advantage. Texas is around a minus 145 favorite here. Some of it is the price. Like maybe the price is just not totally justified here, especially with a Texas team that really can't hit well. That might be the way that I look. Quintana is a concern, though, so maybe another potential way of playing this is to go with Colorado over their team total. That would be another way to play this. The total's at 9.5, which is pretty reasonable for a Coors Field game. So you probably need Colorado to score. I don't know. What would you need them to score? Because they're the underdog here. You probably need them to score 5 runs maybe, which is doable, I think, in this game. But you worry about the Texas bullpen in that type of situation, though. So I don't know, man. But those are my thoughts on it. Maybe first 5, Colorado as an underdog does make some sense there. Garrett, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, I do. 2 weeks off for the Canes. That is, yeah, you know that's not good. It's an absolute momentum killer. Yeah, I'm going to play. I'm going to give out a play against them in Game 1 of the next series. I don't even care who the opponent is. I'm going to recommend playing against them. I'll probably make it a play, even though I think Carolina is clearly the way better team, regardless of who the opponent is. But it's going to be a horrible spot. You're rooting for the Rockies. Yeah, that is Tough times, though, having to root for the Rockies. All right. A's at Anaheim here. Anaheim has really been playing badly, but they did just get, they ran into a buzzsaw, the Dodgers. The Dodgers absolutely embarrassed them, though, at home for the Angels, no less. The Angels gave up double-digit runs in the last 2 games. They got outscored by a combined score of 31-3 in that series by the Dodgers. Now, luckily for them, they get to play a team that is not the Dodgers. Maybe Anaheim will bounce back from that. That was just ridiculous. You get blown out like that, you usually come out with a little bit more intensity, I would say, even though baseball is not exactly a sport where the intensity takes precedence. Anaheim did lose in a sweep to Cleveland the series before that, too. Anaheim is not playing good baseball, man. Their offense is completely fallen off. Their bullpen is terrible. The A's, though, their bullpen's not very good either. The A's do have a much better offense. The A's could be in a bounce-back spot, too, though. They're staying in California, and they just lost pretty ugly 10-1 yesterday to the Giants and wound up losing that series. That's pretty ugly. So maybe the A's will be in a bounce-back spot as well here, coming in to face Anaheim here. At least Anaheim's pitching is way worse than San Francisco's. Anaheim used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Probably not great. Their bullpen's not good anyway. A's used 3 relief pitchers. I think the A's bullpen is slightly better. They're ranked 25th. Anaheim's ranked 27th, but Anaheim has the second worst bullpen ERA, and it's almost a run higher than the A's. So Anaheim's both bullpens are untrustworthy, but Anaheim's is really bad. The A's have been a good hitting team, though. They're 8th, but probably a little bit better at home, although the Angels stadium, I believe, is pretty hitter-friendly as well. Anaheim is all the way down to 24th offensively now. They've fallen off a cliff offensively. And they're facing JT Ginn here for the A's, who is pitching pretty well this year. 3.12 ERA, 1.2 whip. He's been way better on the road, which obviously makes sense because the A's stadium is where pitchers go to die. That AAA stadium is so bad. They got to get their new stadium done, man. He's got a 1.48 road ERA, though, so he is pretty good on the road. He actually pitched well at home last time out. I give up no earned runs against St. Louis in 6 innings. Pitched well there. He's only given up 1 earned run combined over his last 2 starts, over 14 innings. This month, he has a 2.95 ERA, but he did bad against Cleveland. He had 5 walks in that outing, but that does look a little bit more of an outlier than anything else, which gives him a 15-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. Because, I'm trying to look at current form here. Overall, his numbers, still his walk number is kind of too high on the course of the season, though his strikeout rate is not that high. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out. Doesn't allow a lot of hits, though. He's allowed way fewer than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is a little bit high, though, and his strikeout rate is low. But Ginn has been fairly effective anyway. And in fact, the A's have won most of his starts. They've won 8 of his 10 starts this season, so there is that. It does mean he might get some run support behind him as well, though. But his numbers overall are good. Against Anaheim, where are we at here? He hasn't been as good against Anaheim, though. He's got 29 at-bats against them. I know it's not a huge sample, but 276 average allowed, 817 OPS, 7-1 strikeout walk ratio. So it's not great, his numbers here against these bats. So, maybe not the greatest spot to back Ginn here. Walbert Urania is pitching for the Angels. He's trying to get his career, off the ground here. He's still really young, man. He might wind up being an all right pitcher. He's got a good ERA, 3.29, but his whip is definitely too high, 1.43. He's been pretty good at home, though, 2.12 home ERA, 3 runs better than his road ERA. So he's been good at home. He's actually been really good this month, except for the walks. He's got a 2.25 ERA. He's only allowed 7 hits in 16 innings across 3 starts this month, and he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all of them. And in fact, he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 outing this season. And they're letting him start to go deeper into these outings. He's got to get the walk number down, though, man. That's the problem. 13-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. 26-17 on the season. That is way too many walks. The strikeout rate is fine. It's a little bit below 1 per inning. The hit rate is fine. It's below 1 per inning. The wildness has got to be fixed, which it is fixable. You can definitely fix something like that. Will Urania pitch well here against the A's? Maybe. They've never faced him before, so he does have that added advantage of not having been seen before, whereas Ginn is familiar to Anaheim. So Anaheim has decent numbers against him. Anaheim staying at home off of such an embarrassing series. I kind of like Anaheim in this one, man. They're getting an underdog price here because nobody knows who Urania is, but he does look like he's fixing his... he looks like he is getting better at the very least. We're looking at about minus 125 or so on the A's here. Money is all coming in on Anaheim. 63% of tickets on the A's, 91% of the cash on Anaheim. I think I'm going to lean that way. I kind of agree with that. I think I like Anaheim here. The money's also coming in towards the over, which I could see that. I mean, even though Ginn is better on the road, his matchup numbers aren't really that good. Urania could potentially give up some runs, and then you got two really bad bullpens. So obviously, if you go over here, you got to go full game with that to include the bullpens. But I think, Anaheim makes sense to me as an underdog here. First five, Anaheim makes sense too. If you want to avoid, maybe you want to do it that way, just avoid their bullpen. Maybe Anaheim comes out with some focus early in the game. They might have a little bit of a starting, the starting pitching. Let's just say this. I think the starting pitching edge is not that significant for the A's at the very least. And excluding Anaheim's bullpen probably does make sense. So I think first five, Anaheim makes sense in that game. Mention you, Saab. What's up, man? ESPN, dude, they're never gonna have me on because I'm damaged goods. Everybody knows who I am and knows, everybody knows about my ukulele cover and whatever. If people want winners, that's what I'm doing. I'm giving out winners on the show, but that's probably not enough. I don't know. I am a talented engineer, and nobody wants to hire me. So, you have to, this is how fucked up society is, how upside down society is. Your talent means nothing anymore. The only thing that matters is, do you fall in line with the people in power? That's the only thing that matters now. That matters way more than your actual talent. That's just the way that it is. Except in sports, though, interestingly, athletes can get away with it. You know what I mean? At least to a certain extent, they can. So I don't know. It's because it's real big money. Not sports betting, though. Athletes, professional sports. All right. Next game will be my last play. White Sox at Seattle, 9:40 p.m. ESPN Unlimited. Let's go with this one. I first looked at this game, and I like both starting pitchers, so you would think that this looks like a Toad underplay, but that's not what I'm doing here. I'm going to give out Seattle here. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go against my man, Noah Schultz, here, and go with my other man, Brian Wu, but it's a combination of a bunch of things. I'm going to give out Seattle as a play here. Dude, I am sick of StreamYard putting these timers on these things. There you go. Seattle, minus 1.5 on the run line at plus 135, and the rest of it on the minus 170 money line. I can show you the split that it came out to here if you do it at two books, or you can find a minus 1 run line at some book. If it's out of 100, to try to win 100, 72 of it would go on the minus 170 money line, and then whatever that returns, you put the rest of that on the run line, and that comes out to minus 115, which is a pretty good price, I think, on the minus 1 run line. We did it yesterday with Cleveland, and we got the job done. Of course, to win the bet, they do need to win by 2, and that's asking kind of a lot, of a home team in a low-scoring environment here, but I think I want to do it anyway. Seattle, first of all, you just look at this. The White Sox have been really, really hot. And I don't think people are going to want Seattle here. Why is Seattle laying minus 170 here when they're a below 500 team? White Sox are above 500. But I think the stock is just about as high as it's going to be on the White Sox, dude. So that's why I like Seattle here. The odds makers are telling you Seattle's the better team. The stock on them, in my opinion, is low because they just lost 3 games in a row. They got swept by San Diego at home. So a lot of times when you get embarrassed at home, you stick it around at home and you bounce back. So I think it is a bounce back spot for Seattle. I don't think they're as bad as the record indicates here. They obviously have a huge bullpen edge, so that is also part of it, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But for the White Sox, again, I think the stock is way too high at this point. I think they're obviously better than they were the last couple of years, but I don't think they're this good. They have won 7 of their last 8 games now, including beating the Cubs, and they won against the Cubs to win the series yesterday in their huge intercity rivalry series. They won in extra innings in dramatic fashion yesterday. Now they got to travel to the Pacific Coast. I think this is a bad spot. Like, usually I do like teams when they're starting a road trip, but I don't like this here, man. I think they're in a major letdown spot coming off of that series. So I like Seattle as far as the situation is concerned, but there are also other things that I like about this. The White Sox, I don't like their bullpen, and they used a lot of it yesterday, so that factors into this handicap. They used 5 relief pitchers, and their bullpen's not even good. Seattle used 3, but they basically didn't use any of their better relief pitchers yesterday because the game was already out of reach. So I think we have a big bullpen edge for Seattle here. Even though they're ranked 19th, they have one of the best bullpen ERAs. So I think they're a good bullpen. The White Sox are not. They're 24th, and their ERA is 1.5 runs higher. Plus, they have the rest disadvantage on top of that. So, yes, we have to play full game here. Factor in the bullpens. White Sox are 7th in offense. I know their offense has been good. I am hesitant to say that they're really this good, though. And Seattle, I know, hasn't been hitting well. They're at 22nd. But to me, I don't think there's that big of a gap between these two teams offensively. Like, I know baseball is weird and things can happen, but you look at what these teams did last year, and the personnel is pretty similar. Yeah, Chicago is improved off of last year. Seattle's probably not as good as last year. But even if you factor all that in, that doesn't mean that Chicago is all of a sudden way, way better on offense than Seattle is, even though they have been this season so far. But I think that it's a little, like, I don't think it's going to last, is what I'm saying. And we're going against Noah Schultz, I know, even though I like him. I think he is going to be good. But he is struggling with his wildness here. He's got a 4.91 ERA, 1.36 whip. Like I said, man, he's got the same frame as Randy Johnson, even though his stuff is different. He doesn't quite throw 100 miles an hour or whatever, but he throws a really, really hard sinker. But just like Randy Johnson, I don't know, man. It seems to be like when you're this tall, you have issues like trying to figure out your motion, whatever. He does not have significant home road splits. He's been exactly the same ERA-wise, both home and away, but he's really struggling over his last couple of outings. He was pitching well for a while, but his last 2 outings have been bad. Gave up 7 runs at Anaheim, and they've stopped being able to hit. And then he gave up 3 earned runs against Kansas City, and he didn't even make it past 4 1/3 innings in either outing. He walked a ton of guys. This month, he has a 6.43 ERA, 12 walks, and 8 strikeouts. That's just not going to do it, man. Not going to get the job done, even though he's still been hard to hit. He's only allowed 11 hits in 14 innings. Overall, he has way below 1 hit per inning. That's all good. The walks are just crazy, though. He's walking way too many guys. He's walking, not quite, but getting close to 1 guy per inning. You can't do that. And his strikeout rate is lower than 1 per inning. So there are some issues with him, and I know Seattle hasn't seen him before. So he does have that advantage of being unfamiliar to Seattle, but I just like too many components of this to pass this up. Brian Wu is pitching for Seattle. Maybe he is still their best pitcher, man. I mean, I said it might be Kirby. Pretty sure Kirby was not that good yesterday. Brian Wu, it's his time, man. Let's get this thing done. Wu has been good, 3.91 ERA, 1 whip. He's usually better at home, which he is again this year, 3.6 ERA. He had a bit of a bad stretch where he had 2 bad starts, but he's bounced back really well since then. He's gone 6 innings apiece in each of his last 2 starts against good offenses, Atlanta and Houston on the road. Atlanta was at home, Houston on the road. He 1-hit shutout Atlanta, and then he had a 2-run 6-inning performance against Houston, and he had a combined 18-4 strikeout walk ratio over that span of 2 games, 20-4 over the course of this month. So he's pitching well, in my opinion. Even that start against Kansas City wasn't really that bad. He got a little bit unlucky to allow 6 runs there. So he is pitching well. He's in good form. I mean, we've seen so much of him at this way. We know he's a really good pitcher. And he pitches better at home because he gives up way too many fly balls. He's got good numbers overall, man. His strikeout rate's not really that high, but he has a very low walk rate. His hit rate is very low as well, less than 1 per inning. So, yeah, he's good. And he's going up against, who are we even talking about here? Oh, yes, the White Sox. He's got good numbers against them. I know it's a small sample, 22 at-bats, but he's held them to a 136 average, 527 OPS, 9-2 strikeout walk ratio. Benintendi does have a home run off him, but other than that, I mean, not a lot going on here. None of their hitters have really had much success against him. So we're going to do it. We're going to go with Seattle in what I think is the better spot. I think they have the better pitching matchup. The money seems like it agrees with me. 64% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. So we're going with two baseball favorites here. That's the way it panned out, man. It looks like you might be able to get a slightly better price on this. Right now, it looks like it's in the minus 165 range now, so you can go check it out. The money's also coming in towards the over in this game. The total is low. It's at around 7.5. I'm not sure about the over, man. I think more components in this game kind of set up for an under than an over, which I know doesn't really help us when we need the home team to win by multiple runs here. But I think it might be a lower scoring game. I think Schultz still might potentially do okay here, but you really do have to worry about the White Sox bullpen. Seattle's bullpen can certainly do well here. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for the total, though, even though when I first looked at this pitching matchup, I said, I think this is going to be an under, but when I dug into it more, I landed on Seattle as a side, as a play, man. So that's the way that it is. Sometimes the game, you think it's going to be one thing, and then you wind up thinking strongly about a different aspect of the game. All right, we have Dodgers-San Diego. This is going to be a big series. The Dodgers only lead the division by a half game. Both teams are hot right now. The Padres just swept Seattle. The Dodgers just swept Anaheim, and they've won 5 in a row. Dodgers are traveling in from Anaheim, which is not really a big deal. San Diego's coming in from Seattle, so they're doing a little bit more travel. They're actually returning home from a road trip. So normally I would say it's a bad spot. It's a return home spot. I still think it is a negative because you have to get back to home life. San Diego was in Milwaukee and then Seattle. They're returning home from that, but you're playing the Dodgers, man. You're not going to overlook the Dodgers. So I think that negates the distraction spot a little bit there. The starting pitching matchup, you look at this game and you think this is clearly an under as well. We have, San Diego's a pitcher-friendly park, just like Seattle is. So these two starting pitchers are both really good. This looks like an under. When you start digging into that game, though, I'm going to say it's not an under, and I'm going to show you in a second. San Diego does have a good bullpen. They only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Their better relievers are pretty much all available. So San Diego's bullpen does set up pretty well here. Dodgers bullpen sets up fine as well. They used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen's been good as well. Dodgers actually rank 2nd in bullpen right now. Padres 6th, excuse me. But we have 2 good bullpens. I think the bullpen's set up well in this game. Hitting-wise, the Dodgers are back atop those standings. They're number 1. San Diego is 28th, so there is a huge offensive edge for the Dodgers here. Dodgers have Yamamoto pitching. He's been really good, man. And, the more that I think about it, I don't know, was it Jeffrey back in the day who was talking about how Yamamoto, I don't know, like he didn't have the right mental fortitude or whatever. I think he was completely confused, man, which I did say at the time. He was thinking of Sasaki, obviously. Sasaki is the guy who, was out there like crying when he had bad starts or whatever. Yamamoto, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he the World Series MVP? I think he picked up 3 wins in the World Series. So he was obviously pitching really well in pressure situations. So, yeah, Yamamoto has a lot more mental fortitude than Sasaki. I just was reminded of that. Anyway, Yamamoto is pitching well here. 3.6 ERA, 1 whip. Obviously, we know he's good. He's been a little bit better on the road as well. 3.32 road ERA. Wasn't that great in his last outing. He gave up 5 earned runs against San Francisco, but he had 8 strikeouts and no walks in the game. So I think he got unlucky. He allowed 3 home runs. Overall this month, he has a 16-1 strikeout walk ratio, so it's not like he's pitching poorly. And he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning is what I mean to say as well. Overall, his numbers are good, even though his strikeout rate's not enormous. It's close to 1 per inning. He's allowed well below 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is also low. He's been good. That most recent start was the first time he allowed more than 3 earned runs. I think he is set to bounce back, pitching in a pitcher-friendly park here. The problem is, surprisingly, his numbers against San Diego are not good. In 61 at-bats, 295 batting average allowed, 916 OPS, 17-6 strikeout walk ratio. That is not good. So he does not match up well against San Diego. So that is a problem. So that already takes the under pretty much off the table here for me. I don't want San Diego really returning home from a road trip. They got Michael King pitching. He's been good. 2.63 ERA, 1.09 whip. He's been a little bit better at home. Makes sense. Pitcher-friendly park, but he's good either way. But 2.35 home ERA. He's been good this month for the most part. He's allowed 1 earned run each in his last 2 outings. Overall, 16-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. It is too many walks, though, but only 14 hits allowed in 17 2/3 innings. This is what he does, dude. He strikes out a good amount of guys. He's almost at 1 strikeout per inning. He walks too many, though. His walk rate is high, but he's also very hard to hit. He's allowed way below 1 hit per inning, so that's what he does. Overall, he's a good pitcher, but you'd like to see him be less wild. But he is going up against the LA Dodgers, who we know have an elite offense, and he hasn't done well against them in the past. 106 at-bats, 283 batting average allowed, 916 OPS, 25-11 strikeout walk ratio. Not a lot to really like about these numbers here. So, you look at this game and you see a good pitching matchup and you think under, and then you look at the starting pitching numbers here, the matchup numbers. I actually lean over in this game. I don't want to do it. I mean, the bullpens are both good, but I don't really do first 5 overs. I just think that if the starting pitching is poor, then the bullpens come in earlier, and it just kind of has a domino effect, The total's 7.5, which makes sense because this is what looks like an elite pitching matchup between 2 really good pitchers, but the matchup numbers just don't support it. The money's coming in on the over, and I do agree. 52% of tickets, 81% of the cash on the over. Normally, if the number is this low on the total, you want to go under, but that's not what I would do here. 7.5 is the number. Yeah, I would lean over in that game. Very rare that I like an over a low total like that, because usually the low total is telling you it should be a low-scoring game. Dodgers are getting some of the money, 53% of tickets, 57% of the cash on them. They're around minus 150. I don't really see a huge edge one way or the other. You have 2 good starting pitchers. They both have bad matchup numbers. The bullpens are pretty even here as well. So this seems like a really even matchup to me. And that being the case, that would, have you leaning towards San Diego, right? Because if they're the home team as an underdog, these teams seem very evenly matched in the matchup. It makes sense to lean towards the underdog, but they're returning home from a road trip, so I can't really do that either. But over would be my preference in that game, which sounds insane, but that is what it is. And then we have San Francisco at Arizona. Arizona is returning home from a road trip. They went to Texas and Colorado. Returning home from the road, a lot of times you get distracted, you get back to home life, whatever. San Francisco's a few games behind Arizona in the standings, so they might not fully pay attention to San Francisco here. San Francisco is in the middle of a road trip. They're coming in after beating the A's, but maybe they could be in a little bit of a letdown spot because they won the Battle of the Bay here, and they embarrassed their rival yesterday, the A's. So maybe it's a little bit of a letdown for San Francisco here, although it is a divisional matchup against a team ahead of them in the standings. Arizona used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, but they used 2 of them for very few pitches, so those guys would probably be available again today. San Francisco didn't use that many either. They used 3. The D-backs are still ranked 4th in bullpen, but I still don't buy it because they have a 4.5 bullpen ERA. I don't like that. The Giants are ranked, where are they? Yeah, where the hell are they? The Giants are ranked 17th, but their ERA is more than a run better than the Diamondbacks. So I think the Giants have a better bullpen, and they're a little bit more rested here. Offensively, the Giants have been really bad, though. They're 27th right now. Arizona hasn't really been that good either. They're at 18th, but I do think Arizona is definitely a better hitting team, though. They're going up against Robbie Ray. Though on the surface, it looks like San Francisco has a starting pitching advantage here. Robbie Ray is having a good season again, 3.04 ERA, 1.17 whip. He hasn't been as good on the road, though, which does make sense. San Francisco's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. He pitches better at home. He's going to a hitter-friendly park here in Arizona. He's got a 4.5 road ERA, so he's not as good on the road. He struggled in his last outing, but it was on the road against the Dodgers, so maybe you do give him a pass for that, because prior to that start, he was pitching well. He still hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any outing this season, so his overall numbers are pretty good. Strikeout rate pretty good, almost 1 per inning. He's allowed way below 1 hit per inning, but he's allowed 10 home runs. That is concerning, especially in a fairly home run heavy ballpark like Arizona. And he's allowed 20 walks, which is a little bit concerning as well. That walk number is a little bit high. So I don't like that. Numbers against Arizona are not good. In 95 at-bats, 27-14 strikeout walk ratio, 284 batting average allowed, 959 OPS. So he does not do well against Arizona. Arenado has really good numbers against him in a big sample. So, maybe a hitter prop potential there, which, I don't usually do. But when you see a guy with a big sample size that dominates a pitcher like that, hits plus runs plus RBIs to go over whatever the prop number is there, makes some sense there. Zach Gallen is going to be pitching for Arizona here. He's definitely been struggling this year, man. I don't know what's wrong with him, because he was pretty decent a couple of years ago. He is not right now. 5.02 ERA, 1.51 whip. That's not good. He's been good at home, though. Believe it or not, he's been way better at home. 2.61 home ERA. So he has really significant home road splits, which is kind of insane, again, because Arizona's a hitter-friendly ballpark, but whatever. He pitches better at home. He's been pretty bad this month, although 2 of those outings have been on the road. I would say the best of the 3, even though it wasn't that great, was a home start where he at least lasted 6 innings against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is a good offense this year. The Cubs are in there as well. They're a good offense. It's not a good sign that he did really bad on the road against Texas in his last outing, though. I don't think I could trust Gallen right now, man. He's got an 8.79 ERA overall this month. And again, I know a lot of it was on the road. 12.7 strikeout walk ratio. That's not going to do it either. A lot of home runs in there, 4, well over 1 hit per inning. Over the course of the season, he's allowed well over 1 hit per inning. That's not good. His strikeout rate is low. That's not good. He's not fooling hitters. His walk rate is a little bit high, too. There's not a lot to like about Gallen here, other than the fact that his home numbers are better. He's going up against a weak lineup, at least, with San Francisco, and he has actually pitched well against them in 104 at-bats, 202 batting average allowed, 598 OPS, 21-7 strikeout walk ratio. The matchup favors Gallen, looking at those matchup numbers, but the money's coming in on San Francisco. And like I said, I think the spot is probably a little bit more negative for Arizona because they are returning home from a road trip, but I do think San Francisco could be in a bit of a letdown here. 53% of tickets are on Arizona, 60% of the cash on San Francisco. Money backing Ray here, but he does have significantly worse matchup numbers. Money is also coming in on the under, which seems kind of crazy to me. The total's at 9, although San Francisco generally has fairly good pitching. I think I would lean Arizona, though. I know they're returning home from a road trip, so I really don't want to do it. But I think the matchup is actually kind of sneaky, where it looks like Ray is the way better pitcher here, but you look at the matchup, and it actually favors Gallen, and the home road splits favor Gallen as well. I'm going to lean Arizona slightly here, maybe first 5, because I don't like Arizona's bullpen. So actually, yeah, Arizona first 5 makes a lot of sense here. They're at around minus 135 for the full game money line. It's probably not too far off from that in the first 5. All right, let's go to WNBA here. We have 2 WNBA games. The first one is on Peacock and NBC Sports. It is Washington at Dallas. I started taking a look at this, and I don't love the spot that Washington is in. They're 2-1, but they're not really that great of a team, and they're coming off 2 big overtime performances where they almost pulled off an upset against the Liberty, who are one of the best teams. Then they won in overtime in the next game against Indiana. They don't play a lot of games in quick succession, but they're still coming off 2 big overtime games, including an upset on the road of Indiana, which is pretty big. Now, it is another road game here against Dallas. Could be a little bit more of a difficult spot here for Washington, so that does have me looking towards Dallas here. Dallas, though, they're coming off a pretty big effort as well. They're staying at home, so the spot does look better for Dallas. They're 1-2, but they have played a more difficult schedule. They played Indiana, Atlanta, and Minnesota. There's no let up with that schedule. I'm not sure how good Dallas really is right now because I still think they need to kind of gel as a team. Like, they've had the number 1 draft pick the last couple of years because they've been a bad team the last couple of years. I think they're more of a mediocre team right now, but they are favored in this game here. I think Washington is one of the lesser teams in the league this year. Dallas, they've had the more difficult schedule, but again, the problem that I have with that is that was a pretty big game against Minnesota. So I don't want to deal with this game, but I will lean to Dallas slightly here. They're around -4 on the price. I would lean towards laying it, but I don't have a strong opinion on that. And then the other game is a really ugly matchup between Connecticut and Portland. This will be the first time Connecticut is leaving the Eastern time zone. They've only played on the road at New York so far. They're 0-4. I mean, they might be the worst team in the league, dude, and I think they are moving to Boston. But they've played the Liberty and they played Vegas twice, so they've had a difficult schedule. But last time they played pretty close-ish against Vegas. I think Vegas didn't take them seriously, though, because Vegas blew them out the game before that. But now Connecticut's going to the Pacific Coast, and I don't like that. When a team has been in the Eastern time zone all year, now they have to mess with their biological clock and go west. I don't like that aspect of it. I do think Connecticut, they've played a difficult schedule at the very least. Even though I think they might be the worst team in the league, though. Portland is an expansion team, but they're actually favored in this game, which tells you how bad Connecticut is. Portland just played the Liberty twice as well, and they actually won one of the 2 games at home. And then we had a winner here on the show. I zigzagged it for you, and we got the win laying the points with the Liberty in the next game. Now, Portland is staying at home, which I think is an advantage to them. They're coming off a blowout loss here. I think I prefer Portland here, but I don't love it. Portland, they have faced a pretty difficult schedule as well. I mean, they've faced a decent Chicago team and then the Liberty twice, so I think are one of the top teams in the league. So Portland, we still don't really know who they are, right? Because they're an expansion draft team. They still have to gain chemistry. I'm not really jumping out of my seat to lay 4 points with them here. But, I might slightly lean that way. I think they haven't won a game by that. Yeah, they've only won 1 game, and they won it by 2. But they're stepping way down in class to face Connecticut. This will be the first time Portland is favored. But then again, maybe that's not a good thing, because when you go from being an underdog all season to then all of a sudden being a favorite, that's not necessarily good. So I'm staying away from WNBA here. NHL, I thought about it. We have Game 7 between Montreal and Buffalo here. And I gave you guys Buffalo in the last game. They won 8-3, and they were the better team in the game. So it was a good play. Gave it out the other night. We got the win with Buffalo. It was a nice, easy armchair winner there. But it probably wasn't exactly what it looked like, because there was just some chaos at the end of the game, a lot of fighting, just penalties, stupid things going on, empty net goals, power plays that shouldn't have even happened that gave Buffalo more opportunities to score. So the game wasn't quite what it looked like. One thing I pointed out, though, in that game was Buffalo has been really good on the road in the playoffs. They're now 5-1 on the road, but now they're back at home for Game 7. You'd think that would be good. Home teams should have an advantage at home, but that's more of an NBA thing. Like, NHL is such a close sport. Buffalo has not been good on the road in the playoffs, dude. Buffalo has not been good at home, in the playoffs. They've lost their last 2 games at home by scores of 6-3 and 5-1 in this series. Even though I pointed out they did actually outplay Montreal in the last game that they lost at home, which is why part of the reason why I gave them out as a play in Game 6. But it doesn't inspire much confidence that they're 1-2 at home in this series. And in the series against the Bruins, they were also 1-2 at home. So they're 2-4 at home in the playoffs. That's not good. Both these teams have actually been better on the road in the playoffs. In Montreal, that means they're 2-1 on the road in this series. And against Tampa Bay, I believe they were 3-1 on the road. So they're 5-2 on the road, Montreal. So the home road splits favor Montreal in this game in a big way. They've been much better on the road, and Buffalo's been much worse at home during the playoffs. Now, if you look at this game, it was 8-3. That was definitely misleading because, again, we had a lot of just crap going on at the end of the game. Buffalo scored 2 power play goals and an empty net goal when the chaos started happening later in the game in the third period. Buffalo had 2 other power play goals in the game as well. So they scored a lot of, goals where it was not even strength. So a lot of fluke stuff going on. So they actually scored, They had 3 power play goals and 4 power play goals and an empty net goal. So that takes 5 goals off the board. So that means they had 3 goals in the game when they were at even strength, which is still pretty good. A lot of goals scored in the game. But how many did Montreal have? Well, they only had 1, but they did have 1 shorthanded, although shorthanded is a little bit of a fluke. They had 1 power play. So the game, even strength, the game was 3-1 Buffalo. So it was definitely a different game. And Montreal was actually winning the game at the end of the first period, by the way. They were winning the game 3-1 in the first period, and then they were winning 3-2 at the end of the first period. So I think there are more things that make me like Montreal here. I like Montreal to win this game here, but the problem I have is Buffalo was the better team in this game, dude. They had way more shots. They had way more offensive possession. They dominated the faceoffs. They had 60.7% of the faceoffs, had 14 more shots in the game. They did get out hit, though. Montreal was more physical with the hits. Some of that was when the game just was over, though, which, as you can see, they had 58 penalty minutes. Some crap was going on at the end of that game. That just keeps me off of it a little bit, man. You would like to see, if you want to play Montreal here, you'd rather see that Montreal had more of a stat edge than they did in that game. So I'm going to stay off of it, but I lean Montreal on this one because they've been a way better road team, and Buffalo's not good at home this postseason, and Montreal is in a zigzag spot where they did get embarrassed at home in that last game. 56% of tickets are on Buffalo, 52% of the cash on Montreal. So that seems to agree with me. The money's also hitting the over in this game. The total's at 5.5. It's pretty low for a reason. Game 7s, usually you get really intense defense. Usually you see low-scoring games, and we've had a lot of high-scoring games in this series leading up to this. So I would kind of lean under here, but 5.5, there's no leeway there. If you get an empty net goal or anything like that, or some crap happening at the end of the game, I can't really do that. I would play Montreal if I was going to play this game. You get them as a small underdog. Buffalo's around minus 120 or so. So that's how I would play that game. And then we have the NBA, which we have San Antonio and Oklahoma City playing game 1 here, which is on NBC and Peacock. I believe the hockey game is probably, what was the hockey game on? The TNT, the Turner networks again? Probably. I don't know. It won't even let me bring it up. What's going on here? NHL. Yeah, TNT, True TV. Or no, sorry. It's on ESPN, actually. My mistake. The Carolina game, we're still waiting to figure that out. That's going to be on Thursday. We will have the first game of the Western Conference Finals on Wednesday, though, so no hockey tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have NBA. The Eastern Conference Final will start, and I think I am going to have a play in that game. This game I'm not going to. San Antonio and Oklahoma City. This is at 8:30 p.m., NBC and Peacock. Now, one thing to worry about Oklahoma City is the long layoff. I talk about this. Oklahoma City finished off the Lakers a while ago in a sweep. They've been off for a week, and I don't like that because I think that's a momentum killer. OKC's 8-0 in the playoffs so far, and when you're rolling like that, you don't want to have time off because it can affect your offensive chemistry and stuff like that. So I don't like that. I don't know if they're getting Jalen Williams back for this series or not because he's been injured. And this is getting to the point in the playoffs where OKC is going to start needing him, He's not on the injury report, so I think he is probably playing. Fox is a game-time decision for the Spurs, and so is one of my men, ex-Celtic Luke Cornett. I am a fan of Luke. He was pretty good in a backup role for the Celtics, but I don't think he's that big of a component for San Antonio. But still, he is one of their, one of their big men bodies out there that comes in a backup role. Anyway, Oklahoma City looks like they're pretty much at full health here, but the layoff could hurt them, so I don't like that. San Antonio just played more recently. They played on Friday, I believe, and they beat Minnesota, but they kind of beat them easily. And what I don't like about this is the public is all over San Antonio. San Antonio just obliterated Minnesota in the last 2 games, and it was pretty misleading, actually. I gave you guys Minnesota in the last game, and look at what happened in this game. Minnesota had 18 more shots from the field. They had 106 field goal attempts to 88. 106 is crazy, dude. How can you have a team have 18 more field goal attempts and lose the game? I mean, that's just something you don't usually see. Minnesota was horrible shooting in the game, 38%. San Antonio shot 56%, 47% from 3. They had more free throws as well. I mean, this was an outlier, dude. Like Minnesota, if you look at what happened in this game should have at least been a lot closer. Although San Antonio did dominate the rebound battle, so there is that. So that was a problem for Minnesota. And the fact that Minnesota lost the turnover battle terribly is also, or Minnesota won the turnover battle. Excuse me, my mistake. That's not a good sign for Minnesota in that game. But still, they had way more field goal attempts in the game. So San Antonio should regress offensively. They're playing Oklahoma City, dude. I mean, I know Minnesota's a good defense, but Oklahoma City is another animal, especially at home. So I don't see San Antonio shooting as well in this game. I will tell you that. Now, people are going to say, though, the public loves San Antonio because they're the new up-and-coming thing. They got Wemby. Wemby has more star power than anybody on Oklahoma City, including SGA. And it seems like people are kind of sick of SGA and whatever. But the other thing, the public loves San Antonio for another reason here, not just because of all that and because they blew out Minnesota, but because they won 4 out of 5 of the regular season games. One of them was the NBA Cup game, though, which I just don't think Oklahoma City gave a shit about the Cup. So they lost the game in the Cup as well. Now, if you look at what happened in those games, San Antonio beat OKC by 2 at OKC. Then they won by 20 at San Antonio. They then won by 15 at OKC. OKC finally won a game in dominant fashion at home by 21. I think the Christmas one was the Cup game, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, the Cup game might have been the game before that. I don't remember. And then the final game, San Antonio won by 10 at home. But, I mean, that might have been a situation where, I don't know, OKC was close to having, or no, maybe they weren't close to having the number 1 seed wrapped up yet. I don't know. But we'd have to look and see what happened in these games, I don't know. That game, we don't really see that much of an outlier in that game. San Antonio was dominant in the rebounds in that last game. I would have to look into every one of these games and see what the box score looked like to really get a feel for what happened. You have to see who actually played. Was there any key player out in any of these games or anything like that? The game before that San Antonio won at OKC, though, San Antonio shot way too well. OKC had 11 more field goal attempts in the game, and they shot really badly from the free throw line, 68%, and they shot terribly from the field, 39% and 25% from 3, whereas San Antonio was 54% from the field. I think that was an outlier. That game looks like Oklahoma City should have won that particular game. So that game was an outlier. That was the most recent home game that Oklahoma City had. Actually, no, it was the second most recent. The other game, they obliterated San Antonio. So OKC has been better at home against them. On the road, not quite as much, but we're looking at an OKC home game here. San Antonio did actually shoot really well in the game that they won at home as well, although both teams shot well in that game. But OKC actually won the rebound battle in that game. That game was close, at least statistically. So San Antonio, statistically, that should not have been a 20-point win for San Antonio. And then the first game that these teams played, which was at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma City, didn't shoot well in that game either. And there was a bit of a not really that much of a free throw disparity, never mind. But there was a 3-point disparity for San Antonio in that one. It was a pretty close game, though. That game could have gone either way. But yes, we're looking at Oklahoma City is laying points here, but that's the thing, man. The public loves San Antonio here. San Antonio is a dreaded public underdog here. 77% of tickets, 54% of the cash on them. Just that alone has me, I would say, you do not want to play San Antonio. You do not want a public underdog like this year. Yes, Oklahoma City's coming off a big layoff. I get that. But I think that if they're the better team, which they are, I think they might start out slow and then maybe start running away with the game later in the game. If you want San Antonio, I would say do it in the first quarter or the first half. Play San Antonio while Oklahoma City might be a little bit slow to get going. But I think once they do, I think they're going to win this game. Oklahoma City also is the way more experienced team. And I think this is where you get to the point where experience matters, man. And Oklahoma City can go back and look at the fact that they were 1-4 against San Antonio this year and start fixing some things. Like one of the Cup game, I think you could just throw out because that game was kind of meaningless. The other two home games were a little bit misleading, or at least one of them for Oklahoma City was. Or one of them was the Cup game, actually. where Oklahoma City was better than it looked like. The last time Oklahoma City was at home against San Antonio, by the way, they were 8.5-point favorites, and now they're 6.5. So I think there is a little bit of line value on Oklahoma City there. It's below that key number of 7 now. And I know it's playoffs. I know San Antonio look like a really dominant team, so maybe you do have to adjust the number a little bit, but maybe it's a little bit over-adjusted as well. Yeah, I'm going to lean Oklahoma City full game here, but I'm not going to put it on my card or anything because I do worry about the layoff for sure. The money's also coming in on the under. 64% of tickets, 79% of the cash on the under. Total's at 221.5, and I believe the total was, I think, somewhere around like the 230s the last time these teams played in Oklahoma City. So this total has been adjusted way down. So I just don't think there's that much value on the under right now. I know it's a playoff atmosphere. I know both defenses are really good. I know Oklahoma City's coming off a layoff, and that might affect their offense early on in the game. But this line, I think, is just adjusted too low at this point. So I would not really want an under here. But yeah, I would lean Oklahoma City here, man. I think basically the playoffs are like a reset, man. They can go and they can look at what went wrong in those games against San Antonio during the regular season. Maybe it gives San Antonio a false sense of confidence. Like, I mean, it is going to give them confidence. They're not going to be intimidated because they played well against OKC this year. But again, this is the playoffs, man. And Oklahoma City has been here and done this. San Antonio is a young team that hasn't done it. So I think Oklahoma City is going to win the series. And I do lean to them to eventually get this thing done in game 1. And if they don't, it might be a good zigzag spot to come back with them in game 2. But that's going to do it, man. That's the whole board today. We have 2 plays. The money seems to agree with both plays. They're both baseball sides. Red Sox money line and Seattle Mariners split bet run line money line, or make your own -1 run line. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can help me out. Subscribe to me there. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Learn to Toad Linktree has all my links. Like, subscribe to the channel here. Let's boost this thing. I will be doing an NFL season preview show soon, and ESPN brought back their season win total game, and they have a new game where you get to order how you think the teams are going to fall in their divisions, and you get to pick who you think are going to make the playoffs, and, you know, in what order, what seeding. So I'm actually going to I'll fill it out. I'll do a show where I just have fun and fill those things out live. How about that? Even though some of it might be boring because I'm just going to be, somewhat going by the odds, but I might switch some things up. So I'm going to do that. And I might do it later on tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But if you subscribe to me, you'll get the notification. It'll be an NFL season preview show. Let's just call it that. And I do have 3 win totals that I said that I do like. So I'm going to do that. What else do I have to promote here? I think I have a bunch of stuff to promote. This show is on audio as well. It helps me out listening on audio, review on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. That all helps me out. I mean, let's get everybody listening, man. We're on a crazy run here. So I'm trying to keep it going. I'm doing my best, doing what I usually do to try to keep this going. But this is an insane run. Like, it's not sustainable. But the goal will be to continue winning, of course. We got it. My uke stuff is up on Covered in Uke. My voice is not doing well right now, but Covered in Uke is my uke channel. Check that out. I've been thinking about maybe trying to merge the two, but I don't know, man. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to get some extra uke stuff there. What else do I have? Losercast will be back tomorrow night, so check that out. That's at 10 p.m. Giants G-Spot podcast, I think, will be happening at some point in the near future. We have done 1 episode so far, a draft preview, but we got to talk about what we think about what happened in the actual draft and maybe do a season preview or something for that. Then I was on, I thought it was going to be a space last night, the Mad Dog and Gnome Golden Shower Power Hour, but it was actually a live Twitter stream through StreamYard. So I retweeted it. I think it's only on Twitter, but you can go find that. And that was a big panel. It was Mad Dog and Gnome are the hosts of those of that show. Grumpy Gnome, Mad Dog actually showing his face, which is ridiculous. But we had Brian McWilliams, like I said, was on it. Lion of Liberty and stand-up comedian. There was another stand-up comedian. I can't believe I forget his name. Another stand-up comedian who I do follow now on Twitter, but I forget his name. So you can go check that show out. And we had other guys on it too. Foundering. He's a cool dude. He's a canceled man for doing old-timey bigoted piano covers. So he was on it. Perry, I totally forgot Perry Abbasi was on it. Legal man extraordinaire. I like that guy as well. I like all the guys that were on it yesterday. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody else who might have been on it, but I think that was the whole panel. I hope. If I forgot anybody, I absolutely... Oh, I forgot Adam Nutter, of course. That is so hilarious. He's the one guy I forgot. Comic Adam Nutter was also on it. All right. That's going to do it, man. Let's have a good day today. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.